Welcome back to my channel, Star Booze.
Did you ever imagine it would occur? No, I was shocked that they desired to do that, but it was incredibly touching. Are you prepared to accept reality? At one point, the world ignored Benny, ABBA and Andersson, names that are periquated with radiant splendor, keep hidden secrets that no one was willing to share. What should we do? Do you know? We ought to compose a popular English song and listen to what occurs. Yes, we therefore composed a song titled People Need Love. They were singing. The girls. We had the band, and they were playing. Behind the music, smiling for the cameras reverberating throughout each concert venue, air wounds that are never fully healed. A few things appear destined for burial forever. However, today, everything will shift. There's going to be something. Let's see what it is. In a unique discussion with Dan, Benny didn't back down. Agnetha buttressed head-on with his personal memories in addition to the recollections of millions of admirers around the globe. In all honesty, he said, we weren't a family, in their sense. For entirely distinct people connected by celebrity, wealth, and the demands of achievement. That statement disseminated to the media seismic activity. The Guardian referred to it as the unvarnished admission from a legendary musician. Large global publications such as Rolling BBC Music, Billboard, and Stone ran explosive headlines. Andersson Benny revels the dark side of ABBA. We believed we would die of fame. Going farther, Benny openly discussed the necessity of wearing a mask, full of joy and optimism for the group's image. Inside, innumerable unresolved disputes flared. That was on my mind, but I said perhaps next time. It all comes down to attempting to determine your capabilities. You understand? Failing to maintain the same course for the remainder of your life. Those disclosures Samedi cast a shadow on the world, the ABBA fandom. From fan sites, Reddit forums to Facebook groups. Numerous posts surfaced with sentiments of astonishment and disappointment, some even admitting to feeling duped for 40 years. A participant in a Swedish fan group said, I didn't think ABBA was so isolated. Their music was joyful, but as it happens, it was only a mask. Nevertheless, numerous people commended Benny's bravery, believing that this was his chance to live without feeling obligated to keep up the flawless facade of the tale. We lost if our sessions lasted 8 hours. A minimum of 1.5 hours of those indeed amazing. In fact, reactions from the global media were varied. Some authors such as Mark Savage say by the BBC that this reality was soon avoidable following the events they've passed through. According to some, Benny was nothing off any last chances for a reunion, particularly following his direct were, I would prefer not to appear with ABBA no longer. If I don't, nobody will, he said to Variety. I will. These terms further stoked contentious discussions, especially among devoted followers who continued to dream about the day when all four members would sing together on stage. I appreciate the music. I appreciate the music and the songs I single quotes Ms. ing. However, what provoked further debate wasn't only what Benny said, but the explanations for them. Recently, Benny talked about his dread in interviews of aging, seeing the death of loved relationships gradually and his own deteriorating health, especially following the passing of reliable ABBA partners, Lasse Wellander, musician and engineer Treto, Michael Benny revealed TV. In retrospect, I see I was never truly happy when I was successful. I want freedom. There is nothing left for me to demonstrate. Reporter Johanna Paulsson made a statement and he has almost living his whole existence in a shadow that was too big, and he now has the opportunity to live as she's actual self. Whatever the anguish it causes, numerous viewpoints also recommended Benny Sachs intended to stop the public hopes for a reunion whilst looking for forgiveness for himself following years off bung troubled by injuries from the past. In addition, Benny's candor opened a door to the complex of ABBA and contentious past where the seeds were sown by glory for later catastrophes, Destiny's Melody. Benny Andersson has been a well-known figure in the Swedish setting for music. Born into a creative family surroundings, he displayed talent at a young age. At 6, he began learning how to play the accordion before switching completely to the piano. Bjorn was his first creative partner. The Hutaniani's gifted Northern European singers are among the most notable folk groups of the 1960s. These two men's meeting wasn't just by coincidence, but a combination of two souls with a creative bent. Benny was lost and romantic in tunes, but Bjorn was abrasive, pragmatic, and motivated by goals. This collaboration led to a sudden burst of imaginative energy. Bjorn started dating Agnetha shortly after. Falso is a youthful pop performer, with Akriston voice has already gained recognition for her career on her own. Benny, meanwhile, was infatuated with Annie Fred Linkstad, thereafter referred to as Lounge Diva Frida, using a distinctive beauty that combines traditional jazz and with an attitude of rebellion. These four unique personas, four distinct music, and their entwined love affair established the framework for the worldwide ABBA is a well-known name. Achievement didn't come naturally before being recognized. Each of the four suffered difficult months, dealing with skepticism, failure, and rejection. The group operated in the early 1970s, under the long moniker Benny and Bjorn, Annie and Agnetha. varied, playing with all genres, from Swedish pop, folk, and even music. Once labeled this diversiteth music scene's outcasts, their Lika's debut album was well acclaimed, received praise from critics but saw little sales. The local press frequently attacked the group as being identity deficient, whereas European audience showed no interest. Those the difficult days continued until their first effort at Sweden's Melody Festival's election competition for Eurovision with their Ring Ring is the song. Despite being catchy, they only ranked third. The media didn't think twice. It would be preferable to make fun of them for singing by themselves. These setbacks made each member's determination while also revealing Jensrising internal disputes. In addition to that, the seasoned and formidable Stig Andersson, Swedish music manager, always put pressure on the group. With plans to expand ABBA internationally, Stig forced them to embrace a global pop style to appeal to a wider audience. The studio was tense due of stiffness. Over time, Benny and Bjorn came to agree with Stig, keen to broaden their scope, while Frida and Agnetha insisted on keeping their distinct individuality. Innumerable times, the mood in the studio became oppressive. Frida started crying because she was referred to as being too disobedient. Agnetha bounded away. Angrily, the two men went to the motel. Had to act as a mediator. There is no denying that the both of the female vocalists were the imaginative spark and the focal point of backstage conflicts at this time. Frida was always looking for more lead vocals to make her position known, as Agnetha was the press's favorite as the blonde. Soon, a silent competition arose. Solo tunes in between them. The stage arose. Even costumes for performance became a source of conflict. Each and every Agnetha's public appearance revealed her radiant. However, there were innumerable she practiced for hours before her voice gave out. As fearless as she was, Frida faced the continuous pressure to demonstrate that she wasn't merely a backup vocalist. Increasing the stress in several personal rooms was increased the tension. Among the group, Sweden's magazine and Sion suggested that Agnetha had a lover in secret, enhancing the dynamism of the already delicate group. Even more oppressive reporters murmured about Bjornsson v for Benny, to the extent that Stig had to step in more than once to keep rumors in check and avoid full-blown. These issues compelled the organization to remain cautious of the media, living under continual pressure and watchfulness. BBA's victory in 1974 marked a turning point. Eurovision. However, behind the scenes, the picture of tranquility was distant from reality. The public witnessed in the days preceding the lastly ABBA was criticized by European rivals for buying gun conventional, and the odds of betting didn't give them your favor. Stig persisted, weighing gearing and staging and making media investments, actors, and forming the team as a worldwide Swedish model. However, following the triumph, a flood of criticism sprang forth, at unpredictable at times. As the British media put it frankly, a band profiting from controversy won't keep you at the top. For a long time, several experts contested ABBA's win was more of a media strategy victory. More than music. Considering the burden of celebrity, for people not yet completely immersed in sync were pulled further into a whirlpool of competition, distrust, and coercion. In the bright light of that triumph, ABBA realized that being a star was never simple. Additionally, that the higher they ascended, the more storms intensified, and it was now that ABBA's actual whirlwind behind the glory. The journey really started. The years 1975 to 1982 were characterized by the spectacular rise of ABBA, with a series of the arrival of ABBA's #1 albums Vu, Super Trooper, and the Vool album guests. The group became everyone's ideal symbol. Pop singer known for hits like Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, Understanding Me, Understanding, Resonating You, Gimme Gimme Gimme, cross global platforms from Europe to Australia. Tours were always sold out. Millions of albums were sold. The first significant shock struck Bjorn and Agnetha, formally separated. Not long later, Bjorn came out with a new partner, a young journalist, but Agnetha had to keep going, performing with her former spouse, responding to inquiries on post-marriage. The mood of the group increased heavier, and Frida told the media, although none of us desired this, we had an alternative option. Shortly after, Benny and Frida went into a dilemma as well. Benny was allegedly connected to Mona Norlet, a woman on TV, before going public with the partnership only a few months after getting married. Shortly after divorcing Frida, however, beneath the era's iconic classics were a quiet suffering, the winner gets everything. In reality, Agnetha's eyes were wet, disclosure of her union with Bjorn falling apart. Understanding me, understanding you, Onaf, us, and everything is carried out. The sour weight of hearts that once loved, just depressing recollections, now still compelled to stand next to each other. Below the stage lights, viewers were mesmerized by happy tunes. However, hidden within each layers of sorrow, loss, and even wounds that have not healed. Numerous reviewers pointed out that not many pop artists were able to change their personalBBAS transformation of pain into artistic strength. Rapid international media examined every aspect of the private life of the best band in Europe. ABBA breaks down in grief and betrayal. A Daily Mail headline screamed, the tabloid spread unfounded rumors. The team's stressful rehearsals when the atmosphere changed went by without a word. Meals shared become procedures and recording sessions dragged into the darkness since nobody decided to speak. Fans divided into Agnetha supporters. Bjorn was criticized. Others stood up for Benny. Frida was too weak, they said. Worldwide online groups and the press looked into every controversy, and the sentiment of the Swedish population started to change. Understanding the idealized in recollection, ABBA was no longer present in actuality. Although the height of fame brought her an tremendous strain, the members increased growing weary. Frida tumbled into ongoing depression. Agnetha depended on she would continue traveling. Benny pivoted to drink in order to get away from the hectic actuality. At one point he admitted, many nights to forget who I was, I drank. Bjorn had lost himself in writing songs. However, though the more he produced, the farther away he thought of the band he helped form. Though the distance between the members grew, we weren't no longer friends, only those connected by contracts, Frida remembered sourly in an interview. Lastly, as the main focus dimmed, those 4 deep wounds people became more obvious than before. Silent breakdown. Absent AFORMALABBAS, disbandment announcement silently withdrew from the world music scene following 1982, leaving millions of admirers in disbelief, curious as to what actually transpired behind Thessi and Zagnia. Felskog decided to keep her distance from the glare of the stage. Accepting a living alone on a peaceful farm outside, she almost severed her connection with Stockholm. Show business, a drop in significant performances which only momentarily surface in little projects and occasionally disappearing completely away from the general public in uncommon pre-sections. I just wanted to be Agnetha revealed. Once more, a regular person. The celebrity was a burden that is too much for me to bear. However, there she was not left alone by the tabloids. They harassed her made-up tales. Even speculated Agnetha was allegedly stalked by devoted followers for years. Being afraid of the security of herself and her 2 kids, she moved several times in search of safety, escaped an overzealous media chase. In contrast, Frida looked for joy in wishing for peace with her in Switzerland Prince Heinrich Rousseau-Ray, the new husband. However, bad luck held on to her for only a few years following marriage. Frida had to endure the agony of losing her spouse to cancer, as well as her automobile accident claimed the life of the stepdaughter in America. These 2 hits sent Frida reeling into a severe depression, needing psychological assistance for a gradual recovery. Bjorn Ulvaeus and Benny Andersson to Nedo Music as a comfort. The 2 founders of ABBA, they put all of their effort towards musical theater, particularly the chess project with Tim Rice caused a stir in the United Kingdom and however it was unable to overshadow ABBA's sympathizing legacy. Benny, meantime, had to deal with media attention to his private life, especially his prior disregard for kids. Every time ABBA celebrated an anniversary, the media took the opportunity to relive past memories, retaining the participants' attachment. 2 previous glory and innumerable personal injury aspirants, a reunion was yearned for by the public. Several times, it appeared as through reality charity events, significant Swedish music festivals, or rumors that are circulating around global travel. However, whenever they showed up collectively, the participants only posed 4 pictures, never doing or talking about Eriton in detail. A few reporters showed the mood during these gatherings. Was so tight that all people wanted Toto complete the pictures and depart in silence, despite ABBA's quiet dissolution. They're a musical legacy that is strong enough to endure to eclipse all personal suffering, solidifying ABBA's status as an enduring icon in human memory. Irreversible legacy of theory most difficult days to Theas. They arrived at the highest point of triumph in Eurovision. ABBA made a lasting impression on the world history of music, something that almost no one might have anticipated. Their impact is unquestionably, with almost 400 million records were sold. ABBA is standing next to legends like Queen and the Beatles in the list of all-time best-selling artists. Classic songs like Dancing Waterloo, Queen, Mamma Mia, Fernando, SOS and Chiquitita don't only symbolize an entire generation. They have turned into a kind of inspirational atmosphere, feeding the souls of millions of people worldwide globe throughout innumerable generations. From Lady Gaga to Kylie Minogue and Madonna, BTS, Adele, and a number of worldwide, all of the performers understood that ABBA's pop music that is imaginative and intensely perspicuous greatly influenced their fashion, and their influence didn't end at documents or graphs. The imprint of ABBA expanded to include musical theater and movie. The Mamma Mia musical, which was inspired by their well-known songs, established a worldwide sensation, drawing in over 65 million of viewers in more than 50 nations since its debut performance. With 2 features, success continued MMA Mia and MMA Mia. Here We Go, videos generating hundreds of millions of dollars once more and attracting a large audience, assisting ABBA in making their music timeless throughout decades, transforming numerous people who never endured their heyday into loyal supporters. ABBA also made a significant cultural heritage, opening the door to their strong Nordic and Swedish expansion pop tunes. The picture of the 4 members, particularly the 2 women Agnetha and Frida, The vocalists assisted Rinter to women's position in amusement. Their music doesn't sparkle, not just with dazzling tunes, but also conveys strong signals about liberty, examining oneself and confronting the past without remorse. In the field of ABBA was also a pioneer in technology. The ABBA Voyage virtual concert program launched a new era in the history of performing arts, even in their 70s. All 4 members can inspire thousands of admirers in a contemporary theatre in London. Although they were absent from the stage in person, the influence of ABBA is also pervasive in popular culture. You can hear their music at advertisements, festivals and weddings campaigns, as well as in the field of gender equality motions. Dancing Queen has developed into an essential anthem during the World Pride Happy. Chiquitita, however, was selected by UNICEF as a song for fundraising countless numbers of youngsters worldwide. Sociologists, music and culture scholars have consistently chosen the ABBA phenomenon as a topic to clarify strength of ties to the community, removing restrictions on age, gender, and nationality underlying that radiant appearance. ABBA went through a lot of important The participants themselves haven't mentioned that outstanding achievement as well. Carried quiet sacrifices with it, losses that are hard to put into words. Nevertheless, it was the bravery to foresee truth that made ABBA's tale so relevant and a reliable source tremendous support for numerous generations. Additionally, in the everlasting light of that legacy, a significant question still stands. Can everyone the splendor ABBA attained more than makes up 4 losses that occur behind the scenes? The response may be just the 4 of them have it. Who united once conquered all obstacles. For millions of fans, however, ABBA will be a dream. If you're in love hidden tales of legendary musicians and wish to keep following us, click sign up, activate alerts, and leave your comments in the space provided below. Remarks. I'll see you in the upcoming videos.